Have you ever looked at a man who doesn't say much, doesn't wear designer clothes, and doesn't flaunt anything, yet somehow women can't take their eyes off him? You might wonder, what does he have that others don't? Is it luck? Is it charm? Or maybe some hidden secret? Here's the truth that will change everything you think you know about attraction. What women are secretly drawn to isn't always what society shouts the loudest about. Welcome back to the channel. Today, we're diving into one of the most misleading myths in modern dating, a belief so common, so widely accepted, that many men unknowingly build their self-worth around it, the idea that women only care about money. You've probably heard this idea 1,000 times. If you don't drive a luxury car, live in a penthouse, or flash a fat wallet, you don't stand a chance. It's an easy belief to buy into, especially in a world driven by social media highlights and financial flexing. But here's the shocking part, it's not entirely true. Yes, financial stability has its place. It's a signal of responsibility and capability. But is it the ultimate factor in winning a woman's heart? Absolutely not, because the reality, though rarely spoken out loud, is that women are biologically and psychologically drawn to something far deeper than dollars. Their instincts respond to something more enduring, more primal, traits that speak of inner security, calm strength, and unshakable purpose. And here's the best part, these traits are not tied to your bank account. They're completely within your reach, whether you're just getting started in life or already on your journey. In today's video, we're uncovering 6 deeply attractive qualities that women value far more than money. These aren't pick-up techniques or manipulative tricks. These are authentic traits, grounded in biology, psychology, and timeless wisdom, that radiate from the inside out. If you've ever asked yourself why some men seem to effortlessly attract high-quality women without ever mentioning their income or job title, this video is your answer. Because the truth is, women notice more than you think. And when a man possesses these specific qualities, he becomes unforgettable, not just to one woman, but to every woman who crosses his path. So stay with us till the very end, because understanding these traits can transform not only how women see you, but how you see yourself. Let's begin with the first one, a high-value presence. There's something undeniably captivating about a man who doesn't have to raise his voice to be heard. He enters a room and the atmosphere subtly shifts. Heads turn, not because he's the loudest, flashiest, or most decorated, but because his presence carries weight. It speaks volumes without a single word. This kind of man doesn't beg for attention. He naturally commands it. And here's why, women don't just see him, they feel him. Before their minds can analyze it, their instincts already recognize it. This isn't just social attraction, it's biological resonance. Female psychology, at its core, is attuned to detect strength, safety, and stability. These aren't superficial desires, they're evolution's whispers echoing across thousands of years of survival. A man who walks with purpose, who respects himself, and doesn't need to prove himself, he triggers that ancient radar. His confidence is quiet, yet solid. His calm doesn't waver when the pressure rises. His direction is clear, and it doesn't rely on other people's approval to move forward. That's magnetic. That's powerful. You don't need to be the richest man in the room. You don't even need to say much. But you do need to earn respect, especially from other men. Why? Because respect from peers communicates something primal, that you are capable, that you can protect, that you can lead without losing your center. And that is what silently pulls a woman closer, often before she even realizes why. She might first notice your posture, relaxed, yet grounded. The way you move, not rushed, not frantic. Or maybe your voice, firm, steady, not easily shaken. But beyond that, she watches how you respond to the world. Do you hold your ground when others challenge you? Do you stay composed when things go wrong? These moments speak louder than compliments or pick-up lines ever could. They tell a story about who you really are. And that story is what she listens to. A high-value presence doesn't chase. It attracts. It doesn't scream, "Notice me." It whispers, "You can't ignore me." And that whisper echoes somewhere deep in her psyche, back to something ancient. Something wired into her being. There's a reason some men are remembered long after they leave a room. They didn't entertain with flashy jokes or dominate with loud confidence. They simply stood firm, rooted in quiet strength, in emotional balance, in deep self-respect, and in a world where noise often overshadows substance. That quiet strength becomes rare, and what's rare becomes valuable. So here's the timeless truth: be the kind of man she can feel, even in silence. Because when you cultivate composure, direction, and authentic self-respect, you no longer need to impress anyone. You become the kind of presence that speaks for itself. The kind of presence no woman forgets, and that's just the beginning. So now you understand the power of presence, that quiet strength that doesn't shout, but speaks to something ancient in her instincts. But presence alone isn't enough. Because once she notices you, the next question arises: can he connect with the world around him? Let's move on to the second quality: sociability, social proof, and influence. There's something almost effortlessly magnetic about a man who can navigate a room with comfort and ease. He doesn't need to grab the spotlight, doesn't interrupt, and certainly doesn't perform. Yet somehow, he becomes the center of gravity, naturally. You see him walk in. He doesn't rush, doesn't overthink. He simply flows through the environment as if he belongs there. He doesn't dominate conversations, but people naturally turn toward him. They laugh around him, not because he's cracking jokes non-stop, but because his timing, awareness, and energy make them feel good in his presence. It's subtle, but powerful. He reads the moment like a skilled musician reads a rhythm, adjusting his tone, pace, and expression with ease. He listens attentively, speaks when it matters, and shows that he's tuned into others, not just performing for attention. And when a woman sees this, when she watches how he moves in harmony with others, a quiet message forms in her mind: this man is safe to trust. This man belongs. And that's everything. Because sociability is not about being the loudest voice in the room. It's not about being the extrovert who always has a story to tell or a crowd to entertain. It's about being emotionally present, aware, available, and balanced. A man who knows how to connect shows that he fits. And on a deep, biological level, women are hardwired to respond to that. Why? Because belonging signals safety. And safety has always meant survival. In the ancient past, a man who was accepted by his tribe was more than just liked, he was trusted. And trust meant you could count on him in crisis, depend on him in uncertainty, and follow him through the unknown. That ancient instinct still lives in women today. It's subtle but ever present. When a woman observes that you're welcomed, respected, and even admired by those around you, it speaks volumes. It tells her more than just this guy is popular. It tells her, this man knows how to move through life. He has allies. He has earned goodwill. And others enjoy being near him for a reason. That's social proof, and it's one of the most powerful forms of influence. Why? Because it answers an unspoken question in every woman's mind: if I open my heart to him, will I be safe? Will I be seen? Will I be valued? You don't need to say a word. Your social presence answers that question for her. But let's be clear, this kind of presence doesn't come from surface-level charm. It's not about being a performer or memorizing smooth lines. It starts with real, grounded communication. It's in the way you ask thoughtful questions, not to fill silence, but to genuinely connect. It's in how you remember someone's name, how you follow up when it matters, and how you make others feel seen, not just noticed. It's the quiet confidence to lead without demanding credit, and the wisdom to step back and support others when it's their moment to shine. That balance, between strength and humility, is what makes people trust you. It's what makes them feel comfortable being themselves around you. And yes, humor helps. But not the rehearsed, showy kind. It's that quick wit that emerges when you're fully present. That ability to catch the moment and add lightness without taking the spotlight. It tells people you're alive to the energy in the room. You're responsive, grounded, and socially intelligent. You don't need to be the loudest at the party. You don't need to work the room like a politician. But if you can build solid friendships, nurture meaningful connections, and consistently show up as someone others can count on, you'll naturally stand out. People will begin to look to you, not because you demand their attention, but because you've earned their trust. And here's the key: when a woman sees that kind of trust surrounding you, she doesn't just notice you, she believes in you. And belief is where real attraction begins, because the man others trust becomes the man she wants to know. Not just out of curiosity, but out of something deeper. Something rooted in admiration and emotional safety. And curiosity? That's often the first spark that leads to something truly profound. So far, we've explored the magnetic power of social presence, how being trusted and valued by others can quietly boost your influence. But what happens when the room is empty? When there's no one to validate you? No audience to witness your moves? That's where the third trait comes in: self-confidence, internal power, and trust. Before a man even says a single word, a woman often senses something. It's not magic, it's presence. It's in the way he steps into a room, in the subtle confidence of his posture, in how his gaze meets hers, not with neediness, but with quiet certainty. No performance, no pressure, just clarity. This unspoken energy, this force that precedes words, is not arrogance. It's not about puffing up your chest or acting aloof. It's something deeper, more grounded. It's the calmness that comes from being aligned with yourself. And nothing, truly, nothing, pulls a woman closer than a man who trusts himself before expecting anyone else to. Because confidence isn't volume. It isn't measured in how loud you speak, how boldly you move, or how much space you take up. It's not about dominating a room or soaking up attention. Real confidence is the calm in the storm, that steady inner certainty that holds its ground, even when the world shakes around it. It's that quiet anchor that says, I know who I am, and I don't need to explain it to be real. A woman can feel this. She feels it in the steadiness of your voice, in the way your choices seem rooted, not rushed or rehearsed, but deliberate. She sees it in the way you pause before speaking, in how you actually listen, not to reply, but to understand. And in a world full of noise and posturing, that kind of presence is rare. That's why it stands out. But here's what makes this energy so powerful: it provides safety. Not just physical safety, the kind that can protect from harm, but emotional safety. The kind that lets her exhale. That lets her know, without words, that she doesn't have to carry everything alone. That you won't unravel the moment life gets messy. That you don't panic when things don't go your way. In fact, one of the most comforting things for a woman is being with a man who is not easily shaken, who doesn't crumble under pressure. Because whether she says it or not, she's not just looking for someone strong, she's looking for someone steady. That emotional grounding is what allows her to relax. And when a woman can truly relax around you, that's when connection deepens. That's when trust starts to bloom. But becoming that kind of man isn't about pretending. It's not about putting on a mask of cool or acting like nothing affects you. It starts in private. It begins in the quiet moments when no one is watching. When you set small goals and follow through. When you make promises to yourself and actually keep them. When you choose to pause and respond instead of impulsively reacting to every situation. That's where self-trust is built, brick by brick. Every time you follow through for yourself, your internal power grows. And over time, you begin to need less noise, less attention, less outside approval. You start enjoying your own company. You begin to feel whole before anyone else enters the room. That's emotional independence. And no, it doesn't mean you're closed off or detached. It doesn't mean you don't care. It means you're not looking for someone to complete you. You've already done the work to complete yourself. And women? They don't fall for perfection. They fall for presence. They fall for the man who walks through life without rushing. Who makes decisions from a place of clarity, not fear. Who stands tall, not because he wants applause, but because he knows where he stands. In a noisy, frantic world, where attention is constantly being demanded and distraction is everywhere, a man like that becomes a rare kind of refuge. A place of stillness, and it's in that stillness that trust is born. Because here's a simple truth worth remembering: when you truly believe in yourself, she doesn't have to question you. She doesn't have to second guess your intentions, your direction, or your character. Confidence, when it's real, isn't something you show off, it's something you live. It's in the way you carry yourself, how you speak, how you act when no one's looking. And when it's genuine, when it comes from deep inside, you won't need to prove it, because she'll feel it long before you ever say a word. So far, we've uncovered how self-confidence creates emotional safety, how a man who is grounded in himself gives a woman the space to relax, trust, and simply be. But what happens when life throws uncertainty into the mix? When direction is unclear, and decisions must be made? That's where the fourth quality shines: leadership. Grand discovery, direction, and decision-making ability. In every relationship, whether spoken or not, there's a rhythm, a silent dance between energies. When a man knows how to lead, that rhythm flows effortlessly. There's harmony, a quiet sync that makes everything feel smoother. But when he hesitates, when his direction becomes unsure, that rhythm breaks. It stumbles, it falters. And leadership here doesn't mean dominance. It doesn't mean barking orders, demanding obedience, or trying to control everything. Leadership in love, real, magnetic leadership, is about direction. It's about being the calm hand on the wheel when the road ahead feels foggy. It's about being able to move forward even when no one else is sure which way to go. That's what makes a woman feel safe enough to lean back. That's what lets her relax fully into her femininity. Because here's the truth: she doesn't want to carry everything alone. She may be strong, she may be independent, successful, and perfectly capable of leading her own life. But in her most honest, most vulnerable moments, she longs for a partner who will share the weight. Someone who can take initiative. Someone who isn't afraid of responsibility. Someone who moves through life with intention, clarity, and quiet strength. She doesn't need a man to take over her world. What she needs is a man who knows where he's going, and who's not afraid to take her along for the journey. And this isn't just about the big life decisions. It shows up in the little things. It's when you choose the restaurant without saying, "I don't know. What do you want?" It's when you plan the day without pushing the burden of every choice onto her. It's when you sense a shift in her mood, and instead of pretending not to notice, you acknowledge it with presence and care. These small moments reveal something deeper. They show your ability to hold the moment, not run from it. To face tension or uncertainty without folding. Because leadership isn't always about grand gestures. Most of the time, it lives in the quiet corners of daily life. It lives in the way you say what you mean. The way you stand by your word. The way you choose a direction, and adjust when needed. Not because you're trying to please everyone, but because you're growing, refining, evolving. And when you lead with that kind of clarity, a woman feels it. She breathes easier around you. Not because you're controlling, but because she senses she doesn't always have to be the strong one. And sometimes, that's all she really wants, to know she doesn't have to carry so much, all the time, by herself. Here's a simple truth that many overlook: a woman cannot fully soften in the face of uncertainty. If you hesitate too often, she'll fill the space, not because she wants to, but because she has to. That's her survival instinct. She steps up because nature wired her to respond to instability. But if you offer steady leadership, if you step into that space with calm confidence, something shifts. she begins to lean in. Not because she's weak, but because you've given her something rare, reliable strength. And in that, she finds freedom. Not from responsibility, but from constant vigilance. She no longer has to guide, manage, or correct. She can just be. And that being, that state of emotional openness, is what pulls her closer every time. Not to the man who controls, but to the man who knows. Because true leadership is not about perfection. It's about presence with purpose. It's about showing up consistently when decisions need to be made. When life demands direction. When the moment asks for clarity. It's about having a sense of where you're headed, even if you don't know every step, and being unafraid to take the first one. And when you carry that energy, when your presence anchors her, when your actions match your words, when your direction is clear even in chaos, she doesn't need long conversations to know she can trust you. She simply feels it. She feels it in the way you make choices with conviction. In the way you stay composed under pressure. In the way you create a steady rhythm in a world full of noise. And in that rhythm, she finds something powerful, the space to trust, to rest, and to love without fear. Earlier, we explored the kind of steady leadership that makes a woman feel safe enough to soften, where strength meets calm direction. But leadership without purpose? That's just movement without meaning. Now we arrive at the fifth trait: purpose, life mission and long-term vision. There's something undeniably magnetic about a man who knows exactly why he wakes up in the morning. It's not about how much money he earns. It's not about how many women notice him. It's about the path he's walking, the mission he's committed to. When a man is driven by something bigger than himself, something beyond the moment, everything about him shifts. He carries himself differently. He speaks with a quiet conviction. He moves through life not just existing, but building. And women? They feel it, often before they can explain it. They sense the depth, the drive, the determination. Because something inside them recognizes that a man with purpose is a man who's not wasting time, he's creating meaning. When a man is guided by a vision, by a personal mission that stretches far beyond short-term comfort or instant pleasure, he becomes impossible to ignore. He doesn't just fill space in the world, he shapes it. He's not drifting, he's carving a path. And that path gives him presence. This purpose, the kind that fuels him from the inside, gives weight to his decisions. It adds clarity to his conversations. You can hear it when he talks about his future, feel it when he confronts obstacles, and see it in the way he carries himself every single day. Because purpose isn't about ambition alone. It's about direction with meaning. A man with a clear vision doesn't get blown around by every distraction. He's not constantly chasing the next thrill or numbing himself with temporary comforts. He knows what he's building, and that vision anchors him. But let's be clear, it's not enough to just want something. True purpose demands clarity. It asks you to look further than the moment and define what truly matters to you. It's not just about dreaming, it's about choosing. Over and over again. Even when the path is uphill. Without a strong sense of direction, a man risks wandering through life, jumping from one shallow pursuit to another. That kind of life may look busy, but underneath, it's hollow. There's no gravity to it, no pull. But when a man locks in on goals that are both ambitious and meaningful, something powerful happens. His life gains momentum. People feel drawn to him, not because he's loud, but because he's aligned. He radiates intention. And women? They're instinctively attracted to this kind of man, not just because of what he's achieving, but because of what he represents: movement, growth, purpose. They want to be around men who aren't just surviving, men who are thriving, who are chasing something larger than themselves, who see life as a canvas, not a checklist. Men who aren't afraid to commit to a vision, to plant roots, to build something that lasts. But building that kind of life doesn't start with external achievements. It starts inside, with the hard questions. What legacy do you want to leave behind? What lights you up beyond surface desires? What matters to you even when no one else is watching? When you start answering those questions, you create a foundation. And from that foundation, you can set real, lasting goals. Whether it's building a business, making an impact in your community, raising a strong family, or simply becoming a better version of yourself, purpose gives your life texture. It gives it weight. Because here's the truth, comfort doesn't change the world. Purpose does. A man who chases comfort will always seek escape. But a man who's driven by purpose, he creates, and in doing so, he inspires others, not by force, not by demand, but by example. His discipline, his vision, his resilience, they all paint a picture of someone who's becoming, not just surviving. That's the kind of energy people follow. That's the kind of man women remember. Because in the end, purpose isn't just a set of goals scribbled on a vision board. It's the soul of a man. The fire that pushes him to sacrifice, to strive, to grow, not just for himself, but for something greater. And that is unforgettable. We just explored how purpose gives a man gravity, a clear sense of direction that naturally draws others toward him. But even purpose, without composure, can be lost in emotional chaos. That's why this final quality might be the most crucial of all. Let's talk about the sixth trait, emotional stability, calmness, and self-control. In a world that often feels loud, unpredictable, and full of pressure, the ability to remain calm isn't just admirable, it's magnetic. A man who can hold his emotional ground when everything around him is shifting sends a powerful message without saying a word. I'm steady. I'm safe. I can handle it. But let's be clear, this isn't just about keeping your cool during a traffic jam or smiling through an argument. It's about emotional maturity, the ability to regulate your inner world, to stay centered even when life doesn't unfold the way you expected. For women, this trait isn't just a nice bonus, it's essential. Because emotional stability equals safety. Not just physical safety, but psychological safety. A woman needs to know that she won't be walking on eggshells, afraid of setting off a reaction. She wants to feel like she can speak honestly, express her emotions, and still be met with a grounded presence, not volatility or withdrawal. And that's where emotional regulation comes in. It's not about bottling up your feelings. And it's certainly not about staying silent during conflict just to avoid discomfort. It's about creating an emotional atmosphere where real connection can happen. Where she can feel heard, even when there's disagreement. Where tension doesn't turn into damage. And where a man's responses are intentional, not reactive. Because when you can pause, breathe, hold space, and respond with clarity, not impulse, something incredible happens. Trust is born. That ability to remain calm under pressure, to respond instead of react, builds a sense of psychological grounding. And grounding is what a woman leans on when life gets chaotic. Whether it's a tough conversation, a stressful day, or a misunderstanding, your ability to stay composed reassures her, even if she doesn't say it out loud. But emotional steadiness doesn't magically appear. It's something you build. It starts with getting to know yourself deeply, through mindfulness, through reflection, through noticing your patterns and learning how to interrupt the ones that don't serve you. And yes, ancient wisdom like Stoicism teaches us something powerful: to accept what we can't control and to act wisely in the face of challenge. When you learn to pause instead of explode, to breathe instead of blame, to think before speaking, you become stronger, not colder, but more centered. And that consistency, it's everything. Emotional stability is not a one-time achievement. It's a practice, a habit. It's about showing up the same way, day after day, especially when it's hard, especially when no one is watching. It's in how you handle daily frustrations, how you communicate when you're tired, how you stay respectful when things don't go your way. All of that matters, because over time, Your steady behavior creates something women crave more than passion or charm: reliability. And when a woman knows she can count on you emotionally, she relaxes. She connects. She lets down her guard. Because in her heart, she knows this man is solid ground in a constantly shifting world. Your calm presence becomes an anchor, a foundation. And it's from this foundation that everything else, connection, intimacy, trust, begins to grow. Now let's tie it all together. When it comes to attracting the right woman, and building a connection that lasts, self-improvement isn't optional, it's essential. It's tempting to think that flashy looks, designer clothes, or the perfect lifestyle will set you apart. But deep attraction comes from within. The traits that make you a high-value man aren't cosmetic. They're core traits, things like independence, discipline, direction, and emotional depth. Improving your finances? It's not about showing off. It's about proving to yourself, and to others, that you can stand on your own 2 feet. That you can build stability. That you can handle pressure. Financial security says, "I've got this." And that kind of capability is deeply attractive. And physical fitness? It's not just aesthetics. It's discipline. It's self-respect. A fit body reflects a focused mind. It shows you value your health, your energy, your future. When a man takes care of his body, it tells the world, and the woman in his life, that he's here to stay strong. Not just look strong. Your style and grooming matter too, not because you need to be trendy, but because they reflect self-awareness. When you care about your appearance, it shows you respect yourself and your environment. Women notice, and they appreciate a man who presents himself like he values his life. But none of this matters without one key trait: communication. A man who can express himself clearly, who listens with focus, and engages with curiosity, that's a man who can connect. Communication builds bridges. It creates intimacy. It makes a woman feel seen. And no amount of status or style can replace that. Learning to lead doesn't stop at the workplace. It extends into every area of life: relationships, conversations, personal growth. When you lead with kindness, intelligence, and purpose, people, especially women, feel safe in your presence, inspired by your example, drawn to your strength. At the end of the day, it's not about having the perfect jawline or a luxury car. It's about showing up with confidence, with vision, with high-value behaviors that speak without noise. These are the traits that awaken something primal in women, something deeper than surface attraction. Because women are drawn to men who are grounded in themselves, who move with intention, and who are becoming better every day, not for show, but because they value growth. The idea that women only care about money, it's not just outdated, it's misleading. Yes, financial stability matters, but it's just one piece of a much bigger puzzle. What truly captivates a woman, what earns her respect, trust, and admiration, are the qualities rooted in psychology, biology, and emotional intelligence: self-confidence, leadership, social presence, purpose, emotional control. These are the things that make you magnetic. And the best part? You don't have to be born with them. They're skills you can develop with time, discipline, and real intention. So keep building, keep growing, because the more grounded you become, the more respect you'll command, not just from women, but from the world. Now, I want to hear from you. What's one trait you're working on right now? And how has it changed your relationships, your confidence, or your life? Drop your thoughts in the comments below. If this video gave you something to think about, something to act on, hit that like button, subscribe, and turn on the notification bell so you never miss an insight that could change everything. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.